more misunderstood. Because this month we're diving into a brand new theme, So Bad, So Good. All month long, we're looking at films that might have a reputation for being bad, bizarre, or just plain messy. But somewhere inside, there's something worth celebrating. Maybe it's style, maybe it's ambition, maybe it's pure weird energy. But these are movies where failure and brilliance sit right next to each other. And this week we're kicking things off with a truly strange, hypnotic entry, The Nude Vampire, directed by Jean Rollin. This isn't your traditional vampire story. The Nude Vampire is dreamlike, surreal, and at times completely baffling, blending gothic horror, sci-fi elements, secret societies, and Rollin's signature blend of eroticism and melancholy. It's the kind of film that might leave you scratching your head one minute and completely mesmerized the next. We'll be talking about whether this film earns its place in the so bad it's good conversation, or if there's actually more intention and artistry here than it gets credit for. Is it a mess? Is it misunderstood? Or is it something uniquely its own? So step into the shadows, embrace the strange, and get ready for a movie that refuses to play by the rules. This is the First Last podcast, and So Bad, So Good begins with The Nude Vampire.
Yes, sir, it does. Yes, sir, it does. Yeah. So we go in into these things and we figure out really cool things. And I gotta say, you are 90% of the time you are the creative engine that comes up with these great series. So Bad, It's Good month starts now. And before we get into the really fun part, are you kidding me? Go to hell, you piece of shit. You never turn the microphone off, and the phone's always listening to me, sir. Who are we? We are the First Last Nerdum. This is our website, firstlastnerdum.com. We also have home base circled up here on YouTube, where you can see all of our fine works of our main show, First Last Pod, to our ancillary shows like Flipping the Pages and Binge Worthy. You can see those last two. And then Tom, I have a Reddit something.
Yeah. I crawl around in the muck of Reddit and promote ourselves on various subreddits that won't delete my post. I have quite a bit of success with the Tubi subreddit. They tend to enjoy conversing with me, and a lot of them thank me for pointing out that it is on Tubi. So that's always fun. But yeah, you can find me there. I'm also on X under First Last Nerdum. Both under First Last Nerdum on both subreddit and on X. I'll try to promote our stuff. Haven't you snuck in those couple of new little features, so I'll have to quickly promote those as well. But yeah, and you have your socials on X as well.
I do. Yes, I do. I also am on X, and sometimes will see me and Tom. We'll banter back and forth, or we'll hit it up. Or we'll just be like anybody else and just watch the car crash. But at Sofa King Jewish _ also wanted to kind of just really quick highlight our website's back. It's finally there. It's getting going. So thank you so much for hanging in with us. I'm sure there's 3 people out there who probably care. I'm just kidding. No, but anyway, go check it out. There's some new things there. Like I said, I just had to get some time to dedicate to it. And here we are. But here we're going to go back on the job with The Nude Vampire. So Bad, It's Good. Didn't know what to think about this one. But as you gave the intro, you this young man discovers that his father is holding a mysterious, potentially immortal woman captive, or maybe not, but something's going on. And and here we are, dropped into the shadows with strangely enough light to highlight certain features. You wouldn't happen to know what those features were. I'm just joking. Anyway, all joking aside, this was. I was really looking forward to this, because I just didn't know what to expect. You just don't know what, and when you get something like this, fresh out of the 70s, 1970 to be specific. Oh boy, it was a ride. Tom, tell me how he came and found this one, and and what the thinking was, how we got here.
So how did we get here? Yeah, it's I became fascinated with Jean Rollin back in the early 2000s. Redemption Films, that was an imprint for DVDs. They started releasing Jean Rollin's work along with some other people, and I'd heard some things about Jean Rollin that he might be someone I want to check out. And so yeah, they would like put out one or two movies a month of his. So for a while there, I was just collecting all and everything I could get by the guy, and I was having a hard time figuring out whether this guy was just bad, or was is there some genius in there as well? He kept reminding me of David Lynch at times, where he's really good at just yeah, he's really good at just kind of crafting an image, almost poetic in an odd way. So yeah, I just couldn't figure out, if the man was a genius or a crackpot, but I couldn't stop watching his stuff. And I gave you a link for Powerhouse. They're putting them all out on 4K, and it's one of those that I picked up. Nice rigid box too. It's pretty solid.
Okay.
And it comes with a nice little booklet. Probably don't want to flip too much because there's some naughty images in there. And then,
God forbid the aerial should appear.
And then there's the
that's really cool. Wow.
Yeah. So yeah,
I dig the artwork. It just it's well, we'll get into it here pretty soon. But the artwork is really good for what you're getting. I mean, I will consider. That's $20. That's
it's on sale. I think I paid more the $30 there, but yeah, it's this is Jean Rollin's second film, his first color film, and he decided he wanted to do a proper film. The other movie was kind of it was shot in sections. I think it's like there's he shot an hour's worth, but that's not really a feature film. So they had him go back and shoot 30 more minutes to make it a proper movie to be shown. And he's fascinated by vampires and horror, but at the time, late 60s, early 70s, there wasn't a horror or sci-fi market for France. They said, well, we could get your films in the erotic theaters, but you gotta, put a little action in there. So yeah, the more or less, he had to put the nude in the Nude Vampire to get it shown in theaters. So the erotic stuff wasn't the thing that he came to the movie. And I think the movie has some erotic tension to it, but that's a lot of times with those erotic movies, that's the end all be all to the movie. That's his reason for being. Whereas Jean Rollin, he has a story to tell, whether it's fully plotted out or not. They're there. I often kind of kid with his movie saying, he gets a couple of lesbians, vampires, and finds a castle, and then there's the movie. There's a little bit more to it, but
quite a bit more. Yeah, and to kind of piggyback on this, why this film is perfect, as you so eloquently put out in our intro. Why it's so bad, it's so good. And I'm so sorry, Tom. I did not mean to keep you pinned there on the thing. I okay, now I can't do it, so it's not letting me ping. Okay. Okay. Let me reshare the screen here, and then I'll get back to my point I was making to piggyback on what you were saying. Good grief! Holy cow! Good grief! Okay, yeah. This isn't so bad. It's good. It's not in the same sense of Troll 2.
Right?
Like where it's that, and not to hate on that one. Okay, it's just like this. This actually has some ambition in art And it does the and we'll get into the details here, and we're not going to do spoilers, but we might, as we do. If we choose to open that up, we'll save that to the open on the other side, unless it's just something patently obvious, like Luke's father is not Darth Vader, actually. Do you know? But and I'm right on that. No, and you're wrong. No, I'm just kidding. But we're not here for the ironic hate watching at all. But this was very interesting because there's some scenes here that, I mean, this, I guess when it failed interestingly. I guess would be a good positive way to say it. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, it's one of those movies. Like I said, you're constantly kind of scratching your head because with his movies, he doesn't really direct actors. He just kind of lets them kind of do their thing. And if they're a bad actor, well, that's what they're going to bring to the table. So there is, there's I think there's an English version and a French version of this movie as far as the dialogue. But I think there's bad acting on both. But yeah, he was much more interested in capturing a visual presence. It starts off with this lady, this kind of a woman in a see-through outfit running away from these men in animal mask, and so there's like this
Bizarre.
Tension. Yeah. There's this weird. I think on IMDb they threw in that folk horror, which I don't know if this really falls under folk horror or not. But yeah, she's running and she runs into a young man, Oliver Rollin, which is Jean Rollin's younger brother. I didn't know this, but he was not supposed to be the lead actor in this movie. He was supposed to be kind of the secondary guy. The main guy, which you meet a little bit later on, he's having a moment with a dark-skinned lady. But he's his friend. He's his friend in this movie, and but he quickly gets pushed off to the side, and he actually the actor got sick, I believe, and wasn't able to be there the whole time. So Oliver Rollin kind of stepped in as the main actor. So that. And I didn't even notice, usually whenever there's a actor that takes over, assumes the lead of the film, there's something kind of missing or something kind of out of sync with the movie. But maybe the movie was already out of sync, but I didn't notice, it flowed. I didn't notice that change had been made. Although I think on my last viewing of it, previous viewing, I did think, well, what was the point of that one guy? He gets quickly shot and taken care of. But yeah, it was sort of like a missed opportunity when I first kind of noticed he was just kind of done away with pretty quickly. But other than that, it all kind of flows together in a really bizarre way.
It does. It is weird. Some things just kind of pull you out a little bit, but for the most part, it does. It's got this very strange alien beauty to it. It's just I don't know. Like I don't know quite how to put it, but the world building doesn't quite make it. But that's not for lack of trying. But some things you just scoot from one section to another, and then you're like, oh yeah, it's France, French, excuse me. But it's a little bit more than that. I'm kind of taking a little bit of an easy shot, but it is. The thing though that I came to realize, and I did not, where it could be visually confusing or some things, and I didn't follow with every single thing that went on, but I got the idea. Then when I thought about it, I realized that the visual way of the film, even to the actress, the Carolyn Cartier, I butcher the name, but she visually anchors it. Anchors it. I don't know, not just because she is there, but I don't know. Like I don't quite know how I feel about her acting. I mean, I liked it, but there was also some. I felt like there could have been it was mainly her. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. Well, it was hard to. It's just hard to decipher because you can't. When you try to pin one part of this film down, it kind of comes loose somewhere else because
Yeah.
it's not that. It's not. It's not quite that straightforward. Which is why
Yeah.
it's got problems, obviously. But just very interesting. I don't, what do you think of her as the main as the lead actress?
Well, it's kind of interesting. Well, she is the nude vampire, but
Right.
you know, with the title, you think it's going to be pretty straightforward. There's a vampire and she's nude, yeah. But there's a lot more going on than first meets the eye. She's not your typical vampire. She's actually more of an innocent, and then there's these evil forces around her, like the
Right.
evil corporate father that's trying to study her for her, yeah, exploit her for her immortality. He's wanting to find out. And so, what you would think is going to be more of a kind of a gothic horror story, it's more of a kind of a sci-fi mystery. And then that was one of the things that Jean Rollin wanted to make was a mystery. With this movie, so there's a lot of things going, a lot of moving parts that don't always add up, but there's always something to engage you with. One of the criticisms of him is that he doesn't really have a plot to his stories, whereas this movie is kind of atypical in that it's got several plots going on at one time. And it makes for a bit of a busy movie, but you're constantly kind of engaged with the players on the screen. You're keep trying. It's not immediately apparent how they all fit together, and if they actually fit together. You know,
Well,
sometimes it seems like there's one or two different movies going on at one time.
well, that's why I say like it's not this movie. It's very visual. Like the way that he tells the story is very visual. So if you miss it, or you're not knowing what you're seeing, the it kind of the I notice this the it comes in waves, right? So like you'll
Mm-hmm.
have like this, just kind of like the opening scene, right? You have the animal mask, the extract the blood. You have vulnerability, and in this strange ritualistic situation or whatever, something's going on unusual, and then you have that, and then you'll be going into like just walking around, and it's just it's not it works in it when when it really works. You have the burst of the serial, the it just kind of like scenes like that where it's just it I don't know if it caused you to do, but it caused me to be more curious instead of being more irritated, because it does kind of telegraph sometimes with the music, like when it slows down, and I'm reviewing this like a kindergartner because I don't speak French, and I have to go back and rewatch something because my attention is off on the subtitles to figure out, wait, what happened? Aside from subject matter going on or whatever, you kind of have to slow it down a little bit and catch up. At least I did. I don't know if you had that, but there is a lot of silence, and I on the positive side, when his visual language, it works. Rollins does anyway, and I liked it. I enjoyed it. I was not disappointed by the scenery, and I don't just mean what the content was, because it really isn't
Right.
about the nudity. That's a provocative title, and
Hmm.
it's not like a kind of type film. It's not like that at all. It's
Uh,
but I can see like where it just didn't quite fit in for its time. Who was doing it? Very weird time, a very cool time in cinema too. Don't get me wrong, but anyway, I've yammered on long enough. I don't without a point, but just to say that I really enjoyed the way that it looked, and I don't know, it's just a different way of looking at it. I just was not prepared for that, and it really captivated me.
Yeah, and there's a lot of interesting ideas that kind of throws at you rapid fire, especially at the beginning when Pierre is trying to figure out what type of secret society his dad's up to at night. He tries to, he apparently kills a guy to get his invitation to get in, because the guy, he knocks him out, but his eyes are open, so you think, oh, is that guy dead? So he gets into the secret society, and one of the articles in this kind of compares that his going into the secret society to Eyes Wide Shut. There's some interesting parallels between the two movies as far as getting in and the motivation for getting into that secret society. And that's those Redemption original DVDs of the Redemption. But yeah, so there's the interest in the whole mystery about the suicide cult kind of surrounding her. That's only kind of plays in one or two scenes, although that could have been almost the whole movie, but yeah, you're quickly going from scene to scene and different locations, and there's a lot of characters in this, and you're trying to find out how they all connect. One of the standouts is I think the Castile sisters, Catherine and Mary Pereira. They're his dad's servants. But yeah, it seems like there's more going on with them. And when Jean Rollin met one of them in casting, they're both hairdressers, and he goes, there's only one thing wrong with you. It's that there's not another one of you that I could have in the movie. She goes, oh, well, I have a twin sister. So it's like, oh, perfect. So they're in a lot of his movies, either one or the other. And a lot of times with this movie, they're together. And it just kind of gives this sort of surreal thing. And they're kind of at the beginning kind of subservient to the father in this, but they kind of come into their own sort of towards the end of the movie. Their outfits are kind of interesting. They had that abacus kind of bra thing where you could play with it.
The contraption that they put on. Yeah, I remember. That's just a visual touch of like, okay, we're going with it, sure.
Yeah. It was the 60s, 70s, they're experimenting in more ways than one. And listen, it kind of an interesting time when it was made because, there was some turbulence in 1968 and 69 in France. But, everywhere during the 60s, there was that counterculture movement. And, we're getting into the end of the 60s, into the 70s, when, things kind of start to kind of sour. You had Charles Manson and his group, which kind of showed the darker side of the counterculture. But this one's more or less behind the counterculture. The evil people in this movie turn out to be the evil corporate old guard, of the father trying to exploit this thing that he's found for for financial and for immortality, and him and his other two cronies. One of them's always worrying about how much this is costing them, and then the other guy. They have some interesting conversations, especially towards the end, about what just happened. Was it really a vampire? But yeah, and it's a kind of again, there's this changing of expectation. You go into it with the Nude Vampire, you think more of a traditional vampire story, but it's much less a gothic vampire and more of a kind of a sci-fi. Maybe they're not vampires at all; they're maybe mutants. There's that kind of interesting little twist there.
Well, see, that's what's really rewarding is like when you get to it's. Some things make sense and some things don't. And I'm not going to say what does or doesn't because that could be wildly different for different people out there. But there's a lot that you shows in here. That's one of the key things, which is like this is that sci-fi side of it because this is kind of like you're getting really close on mutants. You're getting really close on, on some more modern things that we would revisit and do very, very well. But to have something like that in such a unique way, it was just like, okay, that's interesting. It's a track on it, a different take on it, and where the vampire really isn't evil or maligned or whatever. It's severely misunderstood, but with a twist. But it does work for the most. Like that's surprising that the one part that does work. But again, it keeps you pinned I mean, I was interested anyway.
Hmm.
And from the suicide cult to, the animal mask to the
Hmm.
woman who's immortal. Like it's got a making of a really good story. And you want to see. That's why I say it rewards you.
Hmm.
I think it rewards you, even though it's just eerie. Sometimes the pacing or the story structure, the three-part act that you rely upon or that you come to know or whatever,
Hmm.
and it doesn't really kind of trades that stuff out for like the atmosphere. It trades out some other things, and for the most part, it works. Um, how well it works for you, that's up to you. But I think it works for the most part. It tries to. It's very ambitious, and it does execute solidly on most of it. But anyway, going back to the film, what did you think? Like, what did cause the riot? Because that kept coming up. This is his second film, and his first
Hmm.
film did it literally cause riots, or this is just some stupid thing that Wikipedia puts in there that AI repeats, and gets it wrong.
Yeah, I think there was a bit of controversy with the first one. So, yeah, he was wanting to make a more of a traditional movie with this second movie. But it's Gene Rollin, so it's his what he considers to be a normal movie is gonna not maybe be squarely what another person would assume would be a regular movie. Yeah, the first movie is very interesting. Yeah, I was trying to decide on what movie to present of Jean Rollin's first outing on her show, and I think this was probably the best, more traditional story. It does have like I said, a plot to it. I think the first act works really well. I think the second act is a little murky. It kind of has to find its way, but I think the third act, where they get to the castle, I think the castle is such a good character and a wonderful little playground for them to kind of play out the ending of the story that it really kind of ends strong with that third act with the whole castle and the counterculture vampires showing up and you don't always know what's going on, but there's enough. One of the things with Gene Rollin's stuff is you don't watch his movies for the action, but
Mm-mm.
but the third act does kind of come up to meet you halfway, and there are some interesting little interactions and action scenes in that for what they are, and it ends strongly with a very interesting sort of take on the vampires at the very end, and it's the head the grand master vampire kind of has a little speech at the end that really works well for me anyway. And it ends. One of the things that made Gene Rollin want to make films was when he was a kid. There was a beach that he went to that really was
I
a
heard about
special,
this.
yeah,
Okay.
special character in
Yeah.
his mind, and it's in a lot of his movies. And not to get too spoilery, but they kind of go to the fifth dimension at the end of this movie, sort of this outer worldly dimension, and that's that beach. That's that beach exactly. So whenever you see that beach on film, you go, "Oh, that's Gene Rollins' beach," because he returns to it quite often, and it's spot on for him to elevate it to that level. And it does have this eerie kind of feel to it. It's beautiful but disturbing all at the
Well,
same time.
that's why I say, like, when you start the alien beauty comment that I made before, kind of, it doesn't that it makes no sense in the first part. But when you get to the end, when you go through this and you see what is what, and there's a transcendence
Hmm.
happening, for lack of a better, what are we're close to
Yeah.
half, whatever is what it is. That's there. And my point, I lost my point, I'm so sorry. But
Oh, no worries.
yeah, I had noted about that beach, but anyway, what's my point? Oh yeah, the alien beauty about it. That's right. But it does. I I'm I came away more of like, okay, so there's some things that don't work in this film, but there's a
Hmm.
lot there that works for me, and there's enough for me to be interested and entertained, for me to be like, huh, there's some when it does do the things that it tries to do. Oh, let me go back and think about. Anyway, I'll throw it back to you, and I'm going to think about what I want to say or how I want to word it. Because anyway, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, and a lot of times when I was watching these movies of Jean Rollin, I kept thinking about David Lynch and whether or not he had seen these movies, because there's some connective tissues, maybe things that maybe Jean Rollin kind of laid out on the screen that David Lynch followed up on. There's a scene towards the end. There's where they go into a different dimension, but the conduit or the thing that we have that castle at the end of the movie that they filmed in. But behind that castle, there was another castle that they show in the movie that they go to afterwards. And this has sort of like these two guardians, this man, older man and woman, and they greet you and they let you through the curtains into the different dimension. Very reminiscent of Twin Peaks with the Black Lodge, and they had the red curtains that you would go through into a whole new different dimension, a whole new, whether it be evil or light. It was up to your, is it the Black Lodge or the White Lodge? But it's always with those curtains. So that, yeah, there's that direct correlation there. That if David Lynch didn't see that and didn't pick up on that, that's a weird kind of, chemistry that's happening, that both would land upon that. But it's done quite well in this movie as it is in Twin Peaks. But it's almost like Gene kind of threw that out there, and then David Lynch picked it up and ran with it. But and again, if David Lynch had never seen the Nude Vampire, that's interesting kind of parallel. That the two of them had that kind of same vibe going.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, just trying to think. So what I was trying to say before was like the work that he does is what is it? There is a book written on European sex and horror movies from 1956 to 1984. In 1995 book. Anyway, they called this particular one, this film, a schizophrenic work. But they said that, what is good in the film is very good, and I agree with that. I get that. If you haven't seen the film, then you might not understand that quote. Why would I want to watch a schizophrenic work of art? But it just comes across that way. But there is I think that it's trying to connect the beginning of the film to the very ending of the film, and it technically does that, but not on the way that it tries to attempt. Does that make sense? Like
yeah,
there is this rolling thing of yes, there is the imagery of the direct imagery of the ritual part and this part and the blood part and that part, but it's also thematic too. It's telling you that there's something more than this, and it to me, when it does that or tries to do that, that's where it kind of breaks for some people, because it's like really trying to literally like red flashing lights, like in some scenes it feels like, and I can't, I am not I have not written a book on European horror, but I can tell you that if you understand what it's trying to do, it just doesn't stick the landing, and there are good performances and stuff, but there's just not a movie for exposition. I mean, it doesn't explain anything to you either. It expects you to. I mean, if we think that other films, the difference between a film that it allows you a little bit of time, I guess, to figure it out, but some don't. This is the one where it tries to do that, but I'll let Tom come back in and talk.
Yeah, it's an erotic horror movie, but it's doesn't take the easy route. A lot of times with these erotic movies, that's the end all be all, like I said. But Jean Rollin has something to say. Whether or not he's able to really translate it to you, he's kind of making movies for himself. And I think a lot of the better directors, that's what they're doing. They're making movies for themselves. and then if an audience gets something from it, more the merrier. But they're really interested in these visuals and ideas that are in their head. They want to get them out onto the film, and then whether or not you understand it all, that's up to your interpretation. And yeah, and there's some very interesting the things that he works best with is the visuals and setting up a tapestry of images that don't always make sense, but when they're all added together, it does tell an interesting story. And yeah, and he continues to kind of come back to this vampire motif. He's done several vampire movies, and they're all kind of have something different to say. You would think that there would all be kind of the same thing, but each of them that I've seen kind of goes at it in a different and a unique way. And so you would think a director that keeps returning to the vampire story would kind of run out of ideas, but he's kind of unique in his view of vampires and what they mean, and you never know what you're going to get from a Jean Rollin movie. And I think that wonderful sense of surprise, because you would think with such a low budget, he said he didn't really do science fiction movies because he never had a budget for it, because sci-fi, you kind of have to build things for that. But there's, it's kind of fascinating what kind of visual tricks and ideas that he has with such a low budget, with creating this sort of fantastical vision, with these guys running around with those animal heads, especially the one with the antlers, and just really bizarre. And just the fact that they're all kind of dressed the same with the animal heads, it just brings this really interesting mystery. And I think a lot of times when you have a mystery in a story, a lot of times once you find out what's really going on, everything kind of unravels, and you go, oh, okay, and it becomes more traditional. But as you learn more and more in what's behind the mystery, it just gets even more and more bizarre, and you don't quite get the answers that you're looking for. So you're always kind of on the off foot with this movie, and you're always trying to catch up to the movie, but it's in a very much a hurry to get to where it's going, and you don't always know where you're going to end up. And I think the pacing of the movie is kind of interesting, and it's only an hour and 25-minute movie, so it's almost over before you really know where you're at with the movie.
Yeah, no, it like I said, it works. It's a visual language. You can tell how he, at least before we started watching and talking about movies, I wouldn't know to see one thing from another, but you can kind of see if a director is really good, is a really good writer, you're going to get something like Bone Tomahawk, where the exposition is really good, or CB Strike for that matter, where it's just excellent. And then you'll get some others like this, like where there is not much to say. What they're talking, it's not about what they say, it's about what they do and what is being done to them. Broadly speaking, I mean, you can take a lot, but I don't know. I kind of want to go back through, and I want to spend a little bit more time after the fact. Like, there's a few handful of movies that like spark. There's something there, not just because I like it or whatever, because there's something there, and I could almost get there, but I can't quite articulate it. It is saying something, and I like that. And it's not just like, I'm sure if you saw this or you read a thing, if you read anything beyond that, you would not think it. You would think that it would be one thing when you read about it, and then by the time you got done reading the description, you would completely change your mind and be like, oh, it's not that thing, it's this other thing. So it way ahead of its time. There are parts of there that are DNA that's like kind of loosely out there that will be repeated a little bit more. If anything, this is like underdeveloped, I would argue, because we don't even know what the budget is. I don't think really anybody knows, but that, and then you have something like, and this is not my original thing, but people compared it to years later you had Eyes Wide Shut. And the difference between Eyes Wide Shut, I think, and this are, you literally have two different things. Like literally you have a production that had all the money in the world. And I'm not saying it was bad or anything like that, but it was complete in every sense of the word. Final film, one of the final films of Kubrick. And then you have something like this, which was put together on like what a used car would cost.
Yeah, and
even cheaper.
yeah, and Gene
Yeah,
Rollin
sorry,
said, that he didn't manage the finance of the movie very well, and I think he said by the time it was done, it was kind of half done, and he'd run out of the money. And he said he got hit by a car, so he was on crutches, and he would whenever he could get kind of make his way to the editing room. The guys weren't even working on his movie because they weren't getting paid for it. So yeah, he sort of kind of had to scrape it up to get it in a serviceable position to get it out to the theaters. So yeah, it wasn't like I said, the budget wasn't like huge on it. But yeah, and my joke about just grab a couple of women and a castle and you're there. But had a little bit more going on in this one. The whole counterculture hippie vampires that show up at the end of it. Very, very peacefully invading the castle. They were just kind of in a slow walk inside.
Well, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
No, I was just saying, you won't find it is constantly kind of twisting the themes. Normally it's the villagers that storm into the castle with their torches and whatnot, and here it is, the counterculture vampires storming it, but they're not really storming it. They're kind of just leisurely walking in and say, "Hey, it's ours now,"
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Again, obviously, if you haven't heard or caught it yet, the visual language works very well for me. Again, you mentioned the animal mask. That's just part of it, right? And I'm not really given really good credit for the score, but it does work. You got some jazz going on there. You got some ambient 70s music, but it does work.
Yeah.
But this one was good. And again, I accept the atmosphere over explanation. I will every time, because I would rather see that than like just be told what is going on, right? But there are some things like where you might fall a little bit off if you're too. Yeah. It just kind of depends. You can't watch this in a rushed fashion. You cannot watch it in a rushed fashion. I'll say that.
Yeah, no, a lot of times with quote unquote bad movies, a lot of times it's a lot of low hanging fruit, especially if it's a erotic horror movie. There's usually before you sit down, you have a preconceived idea of what it's going to be, and a lot of times 90% of the time it's going to play out like you expect it to, and there's not anything surprising about it. But this movie is one of those movies that constantly surprise you. It doesn't do the easy thing or the thing that you would think it would do. It kind of twists and turns in different surprising ways, and I think that's why I'm always kind of fascinated by Jean Rollin, because you never know what you're in for with one of his movies, and he's constantly finding ways to surprise you and to delight you. And his work's not always horrific, but it's always fascinating. And there's that cinema fantastique, the term, and I think that's a very good description of his thing. It's almost fantastical or a fantasy story as opposed to a horror story. In what he's kind of everything that he kind of throws in and kind of plays around with. It's more of a fantasy story that takes you in sort of horrific themed things, but always surprising. At the time when I was kind of going through all of his movies, I just couldn't get enough of his stuff because it's like a breath of fresh air in that, he kind of creates his own little world, and a lot of the actors in it kind of repeat and are in a lot of the, more than one of his movies. So it's almost like this, kind of a fantastic journey that you're going on with both the director and the actors. And I was constantly kind of delighted and was kind of sad once I made my way through most of his movies. It was like, okay, well, unfortunately you're not going to get any more of his since he's unfortunately passed away. But for that brief period wherever you can kind of live in his world, it's always fascinating.
Yeah, I was going to say too. That actually bridges to a good question, which would be, if you, like I am, I'm new to him, and his films. How would you recommend this to someone who's never seen a Jean Rollin film, or if not this one, what would you recommend in place of it for like a first at bat?
Well, I think his most widely known movie is The Grapes of Death, which surprisingly is being released this month on 4K through Indicator. I've got my order in through Orbit DVD, so I should be getting that, along with The Living Dead Girl. Both of those are coming out this month, so I'll be getting that. And if you're a big fan of Rob Zombie, he lifted that title for one of his songs, "Living Dead Girl." So, I think there's a few of his songs that references his movies. So I didn't know of Roland's movies, but I knew his titles from from the White Zombie or Rob Zombie's song. But there's The Grapes of Death. Then The Night of the Hunted is sort of a Cronenbergian sort of a sci-fi weird movie. Each of them, the Shiver of the Vampires. I'm really fascinated by that, and I hadn't seen it before. The Iron Rose is a really it kind of all takes place in a cemetery between this man and woman. It becomes really bizarre and fantastical. Really taken with that movie. It's hard to recommend. When I was going through last year, I bought like all of the movies that were available for 4K through Powerhouse, and I was kind of watching them, and each of them have sort of their pros and cons as far as as a first time viewer of his stuff. It's like you want to pick out the best one or the one that's most accessible. And I think the Nude Vampire is more of a traditional story in that it has a basic plot that you could follow, where some of his movies, it's sort of like he's just having a couple of women. He says he kind of finds it boring, a love scene between a man and a woman, but if you get two naked women and in a castle, in being nude in interesting locations, that's kind of fascinating for him. So some of his movies are sort of like that. Is like that's visually interesting, but I don't know if you're telling enough story here for the average person to kind of dive into it. A lot of his movies, if you come to it unsuspecting or just kind of throw it on, I think you may kind of miss the point of his stuff. And that's sort of why I kind of put it in with this month, because if you saw it without any knowledge beforehand, you might come away going, what the hell was this? And there's a scene towards the end of this movie where the young nude vampire, she breaks out of a box at the end, and he said that a lot of people in the cinema, when they would see that, they burst out laughing at that scene, but he saw it as more of a kind of a beautiful thing, and that he always liked that scene, despite people's perception of that scene as being more of a humorous thing, and he saw it as more of a beautiful thing. And I think that's that kind of encapsulates Jean Reno John Rollin. His stuff can be taken both humorously and as something bad, but you could also, if you tilt it or turn it a little bit more, it becomes even poetic and even beautiful. There's very few directors where you could kind of do that with, where at times it's both horribly bad but also beautifully good. And maybe within that same scene, and maybe that exact same scene is both things at one time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, he has such a unique take. I mean, it works for me. I think that if
Mhm.
you like, you're not opposed to slow moving visual masterpieces. Whether this is a masterpiece or not, it's up to you. I think it's great cinema at the very least, and it does achieve what it set out to do for the most part. I think it could have been stronger with better actors and acting and pacing, maybe a little bit, but it's not there for that. Like, just like the porn. Nope, it's not. It's not. Has nothing to do with that. Not really. I mean, that's in the movie, but it's not that to that level of like I don't know. But it somehow it carries it off. I mean, yeah, and if not even more so than just to watch the first time you watch this film, you are going to be like, what did I watch? I had to go back and rewatch whole scenes. Like I didn't go back and rewatch it all at once, like a classic way, but I did go back and be like, wait, that scene, there was this going on. Okay, now I get it. Or what the hell happened before that one? To remind me of the connective tissue. But that's okay. That's okay. That, again, the point I think is for you to be curious, and then and I think Rollin, in one film, grand total of one film of his making, I found that it did cause me to be more curious about what I saw and want to see more. Not because of not because of one angle that you would think, but because there's what's going on here. Why are they doing that to her, or to that? What's going on there, or why would they do that? In the content, anyway, you get the point. But
Yeah, it's not. A lot of times with erotic movies, they come off as creepy or sleazy, which this isn't a creepy or sleazy movie.
No.
It's got a story to tell, and it's not interested in the exploitational aspects of the story. It gets more poetic and more surreal than you would expect. Like I said, it's one of those movies where you come in with certain expectations, but it constantly challenges those expectations and tries to bring you something different than what you would normally expect.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a mood movie in what you see and the language there. It's not really a plot movie, in my opinion. It's
Hmm.
plot. There is a story there, but it's not broken down like But it still works. And it's again, it's also not the usual vampire,
Yep.
which has also been done to death. But this is done in a very unique way that I would not have seen coming. Again, because it's so offbeat. It has its own language, and that's visual. And if you can't stand that, or that's just not for you, then probably want to check out maybe. I
Yeah.
don't know. We haven't really touched on it, but apparently there's like a great versus whatever you talk about Jean Rollin, or you could, or we could. Didn't mean we have to.
Yep.
Between two French greats for horror cinema. Which I'll leave it there. See if Tom wants to pick that up or not.
Yeah, but no, yeah, I would definitely like to revisit his movies. I think I knew that Jean Rollin was going to be an artist I wanted to check out when someone was describing one of his other movies. It starts off with two women dressed as clowns coming off of a bank heist, with having a shootout with the police, and I was like, okay, this this is up my alley. You know? This you got me visually interested in what's going on here. But yeah, he's one of those. Again, he works within the horror genre, but he's constantly challenging that, and maybe again his stuff isn't quite horror, but he's playing with themes within horror, but he's very interested in telling you his stories as opposed to trying to deliver what you would want or expect. So he's one of those directors that we've been talking about quite a bit, where his movies, you kind of have to meet him halfway, and if you're not willing to meet him halfway, then you're probably not going to understand or like his movies. But if you meet him halfway and let him tell you his tale, you're going to be fascinated and maybe pick up something that you wouldn't normally have experienced otherwise.
Yeah, the best description, it's not from the back of a book or a thing, or so some critic wrote, but from what the actual director had said, and this is probably the best quote I could set up for this to get other people interested, that kind of shows you like what it is. But he said, and this is on the an archival interview on an Indicator 4K release, is what my things say the source is from. But Places has a great importance for me in that film. For example, I like the strange meeting in the beginning between the girl and the boy, my brother Olivier, under the pale light. Nothing special, only elements of every day, except the girl with her strange costume. But the bizarre atmosphere is there. Why, which, what, I don't know, but the mystery is there. And that's the best way to. The French also are known for laissez-faire, I guess. But this is that's kind of how this film goes a little bit. I mean, it's actually not the right, gives the wrong impression, but it just kind of flows as it does, and you can kind of see that, and it actually works. believe it or not, like where you don't need it, but I would say this is not a film for people their first at bat. I would say you would want to have some kind of appreciation for cinema, or even if you like because the lights are pretty. That's a qualifier. I'm dead serious. If you like something, that's it. You don't have to be a book learned doctor, PhD of film. Not that there's anything wrong with that either, because that's fascinating to me. But this one worked for me, and I was happy to see it. And this does work for our series. It's so bad it's good, and really it's not that it's bad. It's just that it fails in unique ways that we can appreciate, and that other people can appreciate. And I can see why he has a following.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and again, hopefully we'll revisit some of his other works in the future. But yeah, I originally thought maybe this would go well with a Vampire Month, but I think it fits better here because it's less of a vampire movie and more of a kind of a beautiful mess kind of a movie. I hope people don't get the wrong impression with me putting in it so bad it's good kind of category, because he is one of those artists that is truly an artist, and he's got a definite vision, and I appreciate it, and love him for it.
Absolutely. Yeah, he has good talent, and it comes across, at least to me, but I know just to you. But anything else that we miss, or do we hit the high points? I think we hit most of it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, sorry, I was just singing.
But yeah, his stuff is all kind of all over the place. I saw where I think this movie is on AMC or Shudder.
Oh, that's right.
Some of his stuff was on Canopy. Some of his stuff is on Tubi. So if you kind of glance around, a lot of times, if Vampire's in the title and it says it's directed by Jean Rollin, you're probably good. He did do, just to make money, he did some straight X-rated movies just to pay the bills, but he usually did those under a different name. He actually did one of the Emmanuel movies, if you're familiar with, French cinema. You may be aware of those movies, but he did do one of those. But yeah, if it's got vampire in the title and it kind of looks like a horror movie, you're probably in for an interesting experience.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, this is one to watch for sure, and even more so if you like this physical media. So, and actually, that's one of the things we didn't really touch on, but because of because of the better quality in the boutique Blu-ray labels and a very vibrant Euro horror community, that's partially why this is, because there are fans that care and demand this because they saw it, and Tom absolutely fits in that category over time, and I do too, and in a more limited capacity in my own experience. But this is one to not miss, and I'm excited to see more of Rollin. That's part of that. The beautiful thing is, let's just say that you don't like a movie or something that you just saw. Okay, that's fine, but that doesn't mean that you wouldn't see the next one from a director or an actor or actress or whatever. That's just the fun part. That you get into these spaces and you say, what the hell did I just watch? And it's like, no, that works. It actually does. And it is very art. It is not. It is very tasteful. It is easy and gentle in some respects compared to other horror. And then the horror can be many things, but anyway.
Yeah, the evil in this movie is the evil corporate overlords, capitalist guys trying to exploit the vampires. But yeah, Rollin, as the kids say today, he definitely has a vibe to his work, and an interesting vibe.
He does,
and I think you'll enjoy it if you're into the bizarre, the unique. Yeah, it's definitely, and like I said, you can check him out. He's all over the place in streaming services. But yeah, if you get to the point where you want to start getting his work, Powerhouse got you covered in the 4Ks, and they're numbered. I think mine. You get a little card with the number, but mine's 4,101 of 6,000. So, so yeah, I don't know how limited they are. I got mine. I got part of mine through Amazon and some directly from Powerhouse. So, I got and they came relatively quickly, both places. So yeah. I think you're good if you wanted to order from them direct. They have US versions of the 4K and then the UK versions. I don't know. 4Ks are region free, so I don't know what the difference is. Maybe the booklet in the only thing I can think of is maybe the booklet as far as English words as opposed to British. Maybe there's a little bit different because it's a British company. But I think even if you order the UK version, it says region free. So I think you're good if you order from either one. But yeah, I was kind of fascinated by that. But anyway, I'm being long-winded on that. But yeah, definitely check out this movie or something by Jean Rollin. You'll be fascinated at least.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I think we're coming up to the caboose here, and I've been Mike, and this is one that I this is why I love watching these, because then I can appreciate another aspect. And again, Euro horror is its own friggin' little pocket universe on other stuff, just like sci-fi is and other things. But yeah, I've been Mike.
And I'm Tom. Yep.